Hello, Gar, and friends. Thanks very much for asking me to answer a few questions for you. So the first question is, I struggle around motivation. Work is tough, lifting is tough. What do I do on days where motivation is low? I know the question's a bit wishy-washy, but I touched on it in the seminar and the person feels like if I had a comprehensive answer, it would really help people. So here's a go at a comprehensive answer. Right, what is motivation? Firstly, motivation from a psychology perspective, if I was looking at it, consists of three things. One, relatedness. Two, autonomy. And three, competency. Relatedness is, how do you relate to your sport? Do you relate to the people, the gym, the PBs, the competition, the environment? Is it part of your identity? How do you relate to it, right? That's one level of motivation. The next level of motivation is then competency. Competency is, are you experiencing success? As you progress in powerlifting, you stop experiencing success. I'll stop giving you the fingers. You stop experiencing success. So you stop experiencing success because you obviously start to adapt and the PBs become less and less as time goes along. What that means is you have to find other ways of experiencing success, and that might be rep PBs, that might be stringing together blocks, that might be technical changes. So you have to find ways of measuring things that allow you to express competency to increase your motivation. And then thirdly is control. Control is essentially, or autonomy is a big fancy science word for it. Control or autonomy is essentially how much control you have over the environment. It's not, the program's not been done to you, you're choosing to do it. If you're a funded athlete, it might be slightly different in that you have external funders and things like that, which again messes about with internal and external motivation, but we'll not get into that because I assume you're not an externally funded international athlete, as most people aren't. So your control relates to, what do you control about your session? Now, you might not be able to control the program because your coach has set that and you know you need to do it, and it might be a volume day of squats, and you might not like squats, and you might not like the bar at the gym you have to use, and you might not like the time of day you have to train because of work. But for all the things that might not be controllable, there are millions of things that are controllable. So you cannot control a lot of the externals, but internally you can make decisions, and that internal decision process is where you decide, right, this is a shit situation. I'm judging myself not on the external but on how I approach it. So am I saying, right, I'm going to go in there with the best attitude possible, and how do I get a good attitude? Because you can't just go boom, good attitude. Yes, you have to develop it. And by developing it, I mean psyching yourself up. Does that mean you eat properly before training? Does that mean you change the time of training slightly if possible? Or you give yourself half hour to chill out after work, or half hour to change your mood you're in? Or do you get your favourite tune on? What are the things you can control, right? Does it mean that you warm up in a specific way that means that you're more likely to be successful? So find the smallest thing possible. Always approach behavior change as if you're looking to find the snowflake that causes the avalanche. The smallest thing will make the biggest difference because it allows you then to pick another small thing and another small thing, and then eventually it comes together and you get this cascade of performance. And that's essentially what you're looking for, is just the smallest thing that you can control to see what effect that has, and then another small thing. So that will be, again, another way how to look at it. From another lens of a psychological theory, I would think about Lazarus and Folkman's appraisal theory, cognitive appraisal theory. And what that basically states is that if I appraise or judge, so judge is a better word than appraise, if I appraise training in a low motivation day as a threat, automatically I'm going, oh shit, fuck balls, I don't want to go to training, I'm wrecked, right? That actually is going to cause you to produce cortisol and to increase your expenditure of glucose or energy, which then reduces the amount that you have obviously to train. So it's about taking that challenge and looking at it, and I hate to use this word, but positively, as in, what are the challenges here and how can I approach them? So it's whenever you change it from, right, this is a shit situation to be in, but again, there are certain things that I can control and how I can judge my approach of this. The reason I don't like using the word positive is because people misinterpret that. I really mean what's useful, what's the most useful way to look at that. So I'd actually scratch that out. Don't use the word positive, use the word useful. What's the most useful way to look at this? I can't control this, but I can appraise it in such a way that there are certain things that are challenges as opposed to threats. So the next thing, just looking at my notes here, the next thing I want to point out is, what's the difference between commitment and motivation? What are you committed to in powerlifting and what are you motivated to do? And an example I like to use is, commitment is whenever you get up in the middle of the night and feed the kids, you're not motivated to do that, you're committed to doing that. That's something beyond powerlifting. And again, that ties into the bigger meaning of what it means to feed your kids. But similarly, grinding through a tough session in powerlifting is you showing a relationship to the bigger picture of that comp you're preparing for or that PB you're trying to get. So commitment is what you want, not motivation. How you feel is a lie. Think about what you're committed to and what it says about you whenever you can think, right, this is a tough situation, I'm going to be a tough person and approach that. I'm going to approach that in such a way that it's my choice how the session goes and not I'm having the session done to me. The other thing that I would point out as well is, are you overtrained? Do you need a deload? If you're not motivated and that motivation level is chronic in that it's lasting for a period of time, say beyond 2 weeks, it might be that you're not motivated. So I totally understand that training goes in waves and that there are times when you'll dig yourself into a hole and just keep grinding yourself down if you're trying to do that overreaching phase or functional overreaching. But there comes a point whenever you have to sort of assess, like, what is my mood like and how has it been over the last month, over the last 6 weeks, that type of thing. And if this is a chronic level of I'm continually not motivated, it's maybe time for a reappraisal of your training loads. And again, your training loads are going to change whenever, from a psychology perspective, if you look at John Kiley's work on stress, or if you look at Sapolsky's, we'll go on to that in a minute, if you want to look at Sapolsky's work on stress, so essentially your life is a stressor, your training is a stressor. If your life stress goes up, don't expect you to be able to manage this level of training stress. That might have to come down. So is your life stress is going up? Is your home life, your work life, your family life, those types of things affecting your training? If they are, then maybe it is time to consider that you might not be able to recover from that. So one of the things that Robert Sapolsky talks about, he talks about 5 things that reduce a person's level of stress, and those are social support. If you've got social support, then you're going to have a lower level of stress. You're going to function better as an athlete. He did it in this research in animals, measuring cortisol levels, but it's transferable. And there's lots of research transferring this to athletes. So if you've got social support, that's going to reduce your levels of stress. The next thing he has is, have you got an outlet for frustration? So how do you actually relax? How do you vent? As such, people talk about it, oh, you're bitching and you're not negative, and that's bullshit. You need a method of releasing your frustration. Now, that might be a half bottle of vodka, but that's not going to help your training. So it has to be something that's actually productive. What is a productive way for you to release your stress? Is that going out with friends? Is that walking the dog? What are the things you do that reset you and bring you back down? So find a way to release that. The next thing is predictive information. Do you have predictive information of what the future looks like? We get stressed out when we don't have control. And again, if motivation is low, you're going to be more motivated if you have a clear plan, and if you're not going, oh no, what's the next thing I have to do? What's the next thing I have to do? If you have a more structured life, like a timetable, and works miracles for people who are disorganized, and like 50% of people are, this side of less organized, and 50% of this people are this side of more organized. Like if you're somebody who's very disorganized, something like a timetable and a bit of organization can go a long way to reducing stress, which increases motivation. The signs it's getting worse, and this theory overlaps with the competency in Deci and Ryan's motivation theory. So if you can get signs that things are getting better by accurately picking something that contributes to progress, then that's going to facilitate your training. So that might be, what's your back position in your back squats like? Is it improving? My point being in that is, can you find a way to get competency or signs things are getting better, even if it's just qualitative? So I'll give you an example. What if you were with your training partner and you get them to rate your lift out of 10 in terms of technique, and at the start of the training program they're probably giving you 3s and 4s and 5s depending on what area you're working on, and then by the end of the training program they might be rating you at 7s, 8s, 9s, and you're going to know that that person thinks your technique's better, getting better. That's a way of expressing competency. Even when you might not be getting stronger as such, you're still finding a way to get a measurement that gives signs that things are getting better. Interestingly enough, the last thing on Sapolsky's list of things which decrease stress is autonomy as well. So if we look at that, then if we summarize, we've got Sapolsky's 5 things which decrease stress. We've got Deci and Ryan's 3 things that increase motivation, and one component of each of those directly overlap. So if I'm looking at these from this psychology perspective and this psychology perspective, these theories overlap. And what that means is that I'm looking at this going, that's a solid area of evidence base for me to go, increase the control you have over a situation, and that will increase your motivation. It will also lower your stress. And a hashtag that we've kind of developed at work, and it came out of a intervention showing or getting the athletes to experience the difference between taking control and having something done to them. We played Russian roulette with the Nerf gun, and whenever they were shooting themselves, that was a wee bit nervous. When they were being shot at by their friends doing Russian roulette at a Nerf gun, it was even more nervous inducing, and that was essentially because there was less control. So we have a saying or a hashtag that we use as part of motivation is take control or be controlled. And I think you can hang your hat in that from a situation of trying to increase your motivation, is you have to take control of it and make that decision. It doesn't have to feel nice, but if it feels as if you're in control or becoming more in control, it's going to feel a damn sight better. And then obviously the other theory that I mentioned was Lazarus and Folkman's threat appraisal. So how you perceive it, the frame in which it's perceived, makes a big difference. So seek out the things that are challenges, small challenges that you can achieve, as opposed to big challenges that might appear a threat.